Guess what, golfers? Vegas isn't just casinos and pool parties. In fact, there are 50 golf courses within a 15-mile radius of the Strip, all boasting beautiful desert oasis landscapes. So, if you're looking for a break from the action, consider hitting the links. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Donnie, the season is 6 months. 5 if you check out in September. You're gonna have a bad month. The Yankees had a horrible month, that is true. But beyond that, their regular season looks okay. They're gonna win their 90 games or maybe a little bit more and get to the postseason. What is everybody freaking out about?
Everybody freaks out. The Yankee tax and the Yankee fan tax as well, where every single season you enter into the equation going like, it's championship or bust.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: A.Z. Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes what. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with, obviously, Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
College football can't allow Notre Dame to have the type of, year they have and schedule they have, and honestly put them up against other teams. Because Notre Dame looks like they're going to be a decent football team. They could lose, I think, next week to Texas A&M, Joe. Right. I don't think it's a great football team, but still a ranked team. And then run the table and still be in the playoff and absolutely beat nobody. The worst schedule they've ever seen in college football is Notre Dame this year.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
NFL Week 1 brought plenty of drama and thrillers, but how Tom Brady, the Mannings, and other broadcasters kick off the season in the booth. Plus, Stan Verrett joins us ahead of today's debut of his new show with longtime ESPN partner Neil Everett. Hello and welcome into Front Office Sports Today from our FOS studios in New York City. I'm Renee Washington.
And I'm Ben Horney, standing in for Baker Machado. Thanks so much for joining us. Every weekday we chat the biggest stories happening in the business and culture of sports. Today we're going to talk about backyard sports star Pablo Sanchez. He's back. We have details on the re-release of Backyard Football 99. But first, let's dive into headlines in the shoot-around.
Starting with ESPN, as they've announced a 3-year deal to keep Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon hosting Pardon the Interruption. There's also potential the show will even extend beyond 30 minutes to an hour format following the cancellation of Around the Horn back in May. Now, although we don't know how long the show will continue, as they're coming up on their 24th anniversary, we know Pardon the Interruption is remaining with ESPN, Ben.
Which is great news for viewers. When Around the Horn was canceled, there was a lot of questions about what would that time slot be filled with. They are such longtime mainstays on ESPN. They're getting a little old, although they still seem to have their energy about them, so hopefully they can keep doing this for a while. But very exciting that PTI will stay in business.
Yes, from the rundown to the sports debates, it's definitely been a pivotal and big part of just sports content that we've been able to consume.
They've changed the landscape. I feel that sports media has, there's a lot of actual PTI copycatting going around.
Absolutely. Now, also looking at the big news out of LA, as according to ESPN's Ramona Shelburne, she reported that Aspiration, a now bankrupt financial services and tree planting company, bid over $1 billion. That's almost double the $550 million that Intuit bid to successfully have the naming rights for the Clippers arena. Now, it seems the franchise made a very good business decision, as you have to keep in mind Aspiration is the company currently under investigation by the NBA around Clippers star Kawhi Leonard for the $28 million earned through a written endorsement deal and a potential salary cap scheme.
This is such a strange story, and it really is reminiscent of how Kawhi Leonard's whole career has gone. Odd guy, great basketball player. The Clippers were Steve Ballmer was in business with this company, Aspiration. He invested $50 million into the company. And separately, Kawhi Leonard had this endorsement deal, although it seems like he didn't do any work for it, and he earned millions of dollars. And the NBA actually just hired a law firm, Wachtell Lipton, to investigate this, so surely there will be more to come out. And the NBA Board of Governors is meeting this week, so Adam Silver will address it. So we'll find out more about that, but weird little situation for the Clippers.
Yeah, beyond the business side, you have to think, what would Aspiration Dome or Aspiration Arena even be like?
Aspiration Stadium, yeah.
Very odd.
It's a lot of letters for a name.
A lot of layers. Well, over in the NFL, the Chicago Bears have announced ahead of their Monday Night Football matchup last night, they're now pivoting from their original downtown stadium plan due to a lack of state funding. Now, the team owns 326 acres of land at the site of the former Arlington International Racecourse, so they shared in an open letter Monday. They're now considering building a dome stadium in the suburbs of Arlington instead of the original projected $4.7 billion stadium near Soldier Field. So allegedly, the original plan required half the cost to be funded with public money, but Ben, we've seen several issues, including state funding, that have come up.
Yeah, this will be an interesting story to watch. One question that comes to mind is how will people get to the stadium if it's in the suburbs? When you're in the city, there's all this public transportation. Also, the Bears, where they've played, there's history there, Soldier Field. The conditions aren't necessarily the best, but that was part of the charm. So what is the new stadium going to be like?
Exactly. Well, the Chicago Bears are part of one of the many thrilling games that we've seen this week one. Not on the right side of the result, though. But as we look at the NFL action, it featured crazy comebacks, spitgates, late game heroics, and it was a major success for the league as its numerous broadcast partners are all competing for the biggest piece of the NFL pie. Now, our own senior media reporter Mike McCarthy joins us to share his thoughts with the good, the bad, and the ugly from week one. So let's get into that in our main event. Mike, welcome into our Tuned In Tuesday. Let's start with year 5 of the Manning cast with Peyton and Eli, year 2 of Tom Brady in the booth for Fox Sports. When you look at these 3 former quarterbacks, greats, how do you think they progressed in their start to the 2025 season in the booth?
Well, I loved the Manning cast last night. I mean, nobody's got a Rolodex like Peyton when it comes to getting guests. He even announced on the show that he hand wrote a letter to the Pope, His Holiness himself, to come to Chicago for the game. So they're still loosey-goosey. They had Bill Murray. It's great to hear them dissect quarterbacks. It's the best old cast out there. Tom Brady improved. I don't think, he's at the level of some of the other number one announcers, but he seemed more enthusiastic, more relaxed. I loved his boom, when Cam Skibo was knocking over people. That was very John Madden-like. And he even had a couple of great calls where he was ahead of the play calling and ahead of the refs. So I think Tom really improved.
Yeah, Tom Brady seemed smooth, more relaxed maybe than last year. Shook off, some of the rust. All things considered, lots of great games this weekend. Week 1, a lot of great competition. Which broadcaster won the broadcasting battle, Mike?
Ben, I would say it would be NBC and ESPN. Those two networks had 2 fantastic come-from-behind games, drama, offense, thrills, chills. Again, it's a quirk of the schedule. You get a great game and you just sit back and relax. So I think they did a really great job. And as I said last year, I think that ESPN, I think Joe Buck and Troy Aikman are now the best team in broadcasting. And I think they proved it again.
Yeah, so speaking of ESPN, that's a great segue for me. So the NFL's deal for the equity stake in ESPN, that was a big topic of discussion. There was a lot of concerns about Red Zone, how Red Zone would be affected. We were told there was going to be some commercials. It turns out it was a split screen with, some advertisements. Jimmy Pitaro recently said that ESPN is considering potential additional deals, equity deals with other leagues in the future. After week 1, how do you think that ESPN's feeling about this deal with the NFL?
I think they feel great. Ben, as the editor of Asset Class, I knew you'd be all over that Pitaro comment, which he dropped recently at an analyst conference. I think ESPN is open to deals because, as we've discussed on the show in the past, it's a lot harder to fire a partner than it is a vendor. If ESPN is actual business partners with the NFL, that gives them a leg up if the NFL decides to opt out of its deals. Same goes for the NBA or any other leagues they might want to try with. So I think Jimmy is doing business very differently than the old ways. This is not your father's ESPN, Ben.
Well, guys, I can't believe week 1 is done as the NFL is back, and the NFL's king. The league has had opportunities to really tinker with international games with the largest international slate this season. Also looking to just have games scheduled on other days, such as our Friday night Chiefs-Chargers game that we saw. But I feel like it also might be a sign that although the NFL is king, maybe they aren't able to step out of their lane as much as they think. I'm curious your thoughts, Mike, on that.
It's a great point. Friday night is meant for high school football. It's when 20-somethings go out on dates and with their wives and husbands and all that. It's not an NFL day. And it's hard to believe that a game like featuring the Chiefs, the number one TV draw, could sort of get lost in the shuffle. But it did Friday night. I mean, that I thought was a disappointing number from YouTube. This was supposed to be a global audience. It was a free platform. And everybody assumed that it was going to beat Netflix for the record streaming. Instead, it came in around 17 million. So I think the NFL has to look at Friday nights and say, do we really want to put a game like the Chiefs on a Friday night? If you'd put that game on CBS or Fox in a Sunday window, forget about it. You would have had 25, 26 million viewers.
So, Mike, how do you think YouTube's feeling now after that game? Do you think that they're going to try to take a step back? Do you think they're going to lean further into the NFL, keep trying? What do you think?
I think they lean further. Everybody wants a piece of the NFL. And you got to remember with these streamers, they're playing the long game here, right? They know that time is on their side. Money is on their side. They know the cable bundle's crumbling. They know that unless you have a broadcast network, which reaches 100 million people, you're in trouble. And here's the thing, Ben. If you're talking about Prime or YouTube, these are global companies. Leagues want global reach now. They don't want just a U.S. audience. They want global reach. They want to reach the 200 million Prime customers all over the world. They want to reach the millions of YouTube customers all over the world. So I think it's all systems go for the streamers.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, we thank you so much for your time to jump in with the good, the bad, and the ugly from week 1. Make sure you check out Mike's ongoing media coverage in our Tuned In newsletter, which releases every week. And coming up, Baker Machado and I caught up with Stan Verrett yesterday ahead of today's debut of his new sports show with longtime ESPN partner Neil Everett. Catch Stan's insight on why they launched the Stan and Neil Show, as well as the evolution of traditional media in today's content creator-led media era. It's coming up next.
I was looking at through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls and anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You're looking for JJ. You and I already discussed here. Addison's gone for a couple of games here. They don't really have a number 3. Thielen, fine. You do have a nice tight end here. The running game could be solid here. Like I said, I don't think he'll have the least productive season of his career. If the question was how it should have been with the injuries, I might have said yes, because then it would be 88, 14, 107. So then I might have said yes.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
If a game is on the line,
give me the Navy kicker.
Oh,
the guy's going into battle in 2 weeks. He can't make an extra point. Come on.
From a mindset perspective, yeah. I'm not. Listen, we thank them for their service. I love them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you have a bet and you have an academy kicker with a field goal or an extra point, you got to hold your breath.
27 yards.
27 yards. The kid shanked it from like 30.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
The reason why I feel like Jared Goff doesn't really enter these MVP conversations. Jared Goff last year was on the team with the best record in football, threw for 4,700 yards, 37 touchdowns, and Tom was never in the race. He was never in the race because we know he's not that guy.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
And welcome back, everyone, to Front Office Sports Today with Renee Washington and Baker Machado. Well, former ESPN SportsCenter anchor Stan Verrett and Neil Everett are launching a new show on Twitch starting today. It's also going to be available on YouTube and, of course, everywhere you get your podcasts. So to tell us where the future of sports broadcasting is going, let's bring in Stan Verrett joining us from New Orleans. Stan, good to see you. How you doing?
Doing okay. I also do the Saints pregame show, and Saints took an L yesterday to Arizona Cardinals.
Yes, they did.
So, it's a regroup kind of Monday, getting ready for week 2.
Yes, it did. You know what? We have high hopes for you and for the Saints as well. But let's talk about this show that you're doing with your old partner, Neil Everett, who we've watched you guys for years on ESPN. Tell us about what you guys are going to be doing on this Twitch show.
Well, Baker, that's exactly the point. We had so many people who watched us for so many years on ESPN, and everywhere we went, people were like, you guys should do a show together. You guys should do a show together. You guys should do a show together. And so finally we said, hey, let's do a show together. So we teamed up with Jeff Anderson, who is a former producer on SportsCenter and First Take, and he understands the entire landscape of the podcast world, of the digital media world. And so he was really excited about the prospect, and he actually reached out to us at the same time we were talking about trying to put something together. And so it all came together pretty organically, and we're excited about it.
What led you guys to want to be a part of Twitch with your stream, but also what have you already noticed through just the difference of having your show on Twitch?
So Jeff, our producer, really liked the functionality for doing live on Twitch. It's primarily been used by a lot of gamers originally. And if you think about the live capabilities that they need in terms of showing the gamers themselves and then the action on the screen, it really provides a lot of functionality that can be used for what we're trying to do as well. You can do live polling. You can bring in sound bites pretty seamlessly. You can bring in guests pretty seamlessly. And so Jeff really liked the idea of doing the show live on Twitch first, and then also putting it on the other platforms. And the folks at Twitch have been extremely supportive. I got a bunch of emails from them today, like, hey, you guys need anything? How can we help? So they've been really supportive. Twitch is also really big in Europe with soccer content creators. And so I've been watching some of their content to kind of see some of the functionality that'll be available to us, even though I don't understand the language in those cases. But I can see what they're trying to do, and so we're really excited about having their platform to utilize.
We've seen, Stan, a bunch of former ESPN talent from Pablo Torre, Bill Simmons, Dan Le Batard go out and do their own independent ventures. Do you sort of think that we're in this new era?
I think there were two things that have led to this. I think the first is the emerging technology. We're doing a show here literally, and I'm sitting in a hotel room, and there's no satellite window, there's no cameraman. I'm sitting in a hotel, and we're doing a broadcast, and so that opens up a whole world of possibilities. So the technological advancements are one part of it, and then I think COVID, the viewing experience during COVID changed a lot of things, because you had a lot of people who, because we were in lockdowns, were doing broadcasts like this. They were in a hotel or they were in their homes, and there was a question about how viewers would take to that. If the person isn't in a studio, would it not look official enough? And so viewers responded by saying, we don't care. We just want the information. We just want the content. We don't care where you happen to be. And so I think the technology and the use of the technology during COVID really changed the game. And so now there's just unlimited possibilities in terms of what you can do, because viewers accept it and you have the technology to do it.
Well, Stan, I want to take that a step further, because I'm curious your thoughts, as a lot of networks such as ESPN have shifted towards more personalities and even the usage of technology like AI. How much do you think that's also allowed, journalists like yourself to have the comfort to pivot?
Well, if you look at where things are going, I think in sports media today, there are only two really safe places that are going to remain safe. And I think the first one is being connected to live game broadcasts, live event broadcasts, because there are always going to be games, there are always going to be matches, and networks pay millions and billions of dollars to secure those rights. So they're always going to need people to provide context and play-by-play on those events. So that's one safe space. The other safe space is personality-driven content. I made a career, and so did Neil, doing SportsCenter. But now you can get highlights almost in real time on any device. And so if you're a relatively knowledgeable sports fan, you don't have to wait around for me to show you those highlights. You can see those highlights on your own and formulate your own ideas about what they are. But then if you have personality-driven content that is unique to, for instance, me and Neil. I mean, there's no one else can be me, no one else can be Neil. And when we got together, it really worked. And so I think if you have compelling personalities who can do content that engages people, then that's going to be another safe space. I don't know that. Well, I do know that SportsCenter and shows like SportsCenter aren't today what they were when I started in 2000, and they aren't what they were when we moved to LA in 2009. So, like everything else, our business is changing. And so, one of the things that I said when I made the decision to remain in Los Angeles rather than go back to Bristol when SportsCenter moved was that the business has changed, and we have to change along with it in order to have a future doing it.
What's your advice to those who want to follow in your footsteps of building a sports personality career? Is it go the independent route, or is it to go to these main places like ESPN?
I think if you have the kind of talent that can engage people without them necessarily knowing who you are to begin with, then I say go for it. Go for it. If you need to build a resume, build a track record, build a familiarity with audiences, then you may need to work in more traditional media before you branch out. But I think the key is content. If you can create compelling content, then the audience will show up. And that's what we're hoping to do.
People are all going to be watching the Twitch show starting today with Stan Verrett and Neil Everett. Of course, you can watch it on YouTube as well, and of course, wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, you can also check out Stan on the pregame shows for all New Orleans Saints games as well. Stan, such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck.
Renee, Baker, thank you guys for having me.
All right, we got a lot more Front Office Sports Today headed your way right after this quick break.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Like it or not, 18-year-olds dropped with a whole heck of a lot of money in there. Boy, yeah. I tell you, it changes people, Donnie, and it's a new reality that we better get used to in college football, because look at the kid from UCLA, former Tennessee quarterback, making millions of dollars. You really think he cares? They got absolutely embarrassed and trounced.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
The Dallas Cowboys losing that pass rush, losing another big impact player on the defensive side, all this does is make me like Dak Prescott more and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens more, because what we talked about all offseason, right, Matt, which is, hey, when Dak is healthy, he is a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and the defense we think is okay, but we think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Now I definitely think there's going to be a lot more shootouts.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
So game one, I already made a mistake. I put my touchdown prop bets in hours ago. When you and I started talking before kickoff, I got so excited and I bet him again without even thinking that I already did it.
Oh,
I was like, yeah, Jalen Hurts. And I was like, and then I was like, wait, I think I already did this. And I scrolled down. I was like, yeah, you already did do this. And I was like, oh, it's okay. That's okay.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Front Office Sports Today with Renee Washington, Baker Pachado. Well, good news following the release of classic games like Backyard Baseball 97 and Backyard Soccer. The production company behind the game is re-releasing Backyard Football 99 today, September the 9th, all via mobile and streaming platforms. So joining us right now is the CEO of Playground Productions, which, of course, owns Backyard Sports, Lindsay Barnett. Lindsay, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Well, so is your shirt. We're really big fans of this, and I love this. So tell us all about why you guys decided to re-release this classic game.
Well, first of all, we are thrilled to be able to bring back all the original backyard sports games. So we have everything from baseball 97, basketball 2001, baseball 01, and of course football 99. And I have to say this was one of my favorites as a kid, so I am thrilled to be able to bring this one back.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites too, and I know Jason Kelsey was one of many people that have been clamoring for the return of backyard sports because it was such a peak childhood memory. I'm curious, did that put any extra excitement or even pressure on you guys to make this happen right now?
Okay, so that's actually, I'm glad you bring that up because Jason and Travis went on their podcast to talk about that backyard football was their favorite game when they were growing up and that they want to bring it back. I was actually about to close on the rights to the franchise and to buy it. And then they brought it up and I was like, no, don't take it away. But it worked out. And now I'm glad to have awesome athlete fans. So it's really great.
Well, the other thing that I love is all of our favorite players from this game are all part of this as well. Barry Sanders, Dan Marino, Drew Bledsoe, Jerry Rice, my favorite player, John Elway, Randall Cunningham, Steve Young. What was sort of their response when you told them that you were going to put this back together again?
It was amazing. So John Elway in particular, he has 10 grandchildren. So he was really thrilled to be able to bring it back because his grandkids were going to be able to play it and play with him as a star. And yeah, they all had such an incredible response. Randall Cunningham told us that he gets stopped like once a week to talk about backyard.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
So it's really amazing. And I actually loved, even on the Kelsey's podcast, they talked about this, like Jerry Rice's touchdown dance is him writing his records in the record book. And I think a lot of kids will discover just how great Jerry Rice actually is. So
there you go. It's educational too, which we love.
Yes.
But I'm curious, as you guys are looking to roll this out, it has been a couple years. We're not going to age ourselves here. It's been a couple years since the games were originally released. What did you want to keep the same versus change to make sure it also kept up with the modern times in that sense?
Yeah, so I mean, the biggest thing is this, you don't have to play on a CD-ROM anymore. You can play it on your phone and take it with you wherever you go. So that has been the biggest and most exciting thing, is that now you can play all of these games and they're preserved on modern devices. And, you know, I think that people were feeling like, you know, there was no access to all of their favorite backyard sports games. And so I'm really thrilled that they're now really accessible on Steam and mobile. That's the biggest change, is that you can play it anywhere.
Lindsay, as I mentioned, you guys have re-released Backyard Baseball 97, Backyard Baseball 01, Backyard Soccer 98. Are there any other games maybe in the catalog that maybe you guys are thinking of re-releasing down the road? And could you re-release this football game with new players in it?
Well, so we have 6 retros, 97 baseball, 98 soccer, 99 football, baseball and basketball 01, and hockey 02. All of those will be out by the end of this year. And we're actually in production on an entirely new backyard sports title. So stay tuned to see what we're working on there.
Wow, dropping some news.
Yes,
I
exactly.
love that.
What a tease.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exciting to hear. So when can we expect details of this? When should they be on the lookout? Because it sounds like this is exciting news coming.
I would be following our socials. We might have some Easter eggs that we are constantly dropping. Some people are picking up on things already. So
all right.
Yeah, I'd follow us on socials.
Well, until then, you got Backyard Football 99 available today, of course, on all app platforms, the App Store, Google Play, mobile, and stream as well. Lindsay, such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you guys so much.
All right, let's see what's bubbling over at the FOS water cooler.
Thanks, Baker. Okay, Ben, Tiger Woods was seen hitting publicly for the first time since he ruptured his Achilles back in March. And the all-time career golf earnings leader did compete in the opening season of TGL last September. Right. We saw him hitting with his son, Charlie. But this makes people wonder if the 49-year-old, as he was spotted at the Nexus Cup in New York City, is possibly making a return back to compete.
People get so excited when they see Tiger swinging a golf club, and I totally get it. He's getting up there, but when you're playing golf, you can golf for a while. So if he can get himself back into shape, who knows? But he's faced a lot of injuries, and he really hasn't been, at that elite level for quite some time.
Honestly, since the car accident,
Yeah.
back injuries, the Achilles, has been a number of injuries for him.
But you have to admire that he keeps coming back and swinging the club.
And it keeps making us excited that he might return back to the golf course.
Yep,
Well, tomorrow we'll talk U.S. men's